Someone's talking.
Okay, welcome to the Alliance Crib and Battle Pirates Crib roundtable. Today we're talking about Retropack 14. If you're not a member of the Alliance Crib and the Battle Pirates Crib, the links will be in the chat here and obviously in the comments box. We've got a nice panel of people with us today. We've got Pig from PB, Tito Carpe Diem from AAB. We've got Stephen W from THE, me Earth from THE, we've got Total Freak from Cass, and we've also got Hiram as well, and Rob, of course, from
Don't forget me, you cunt.
Yeah, well, you know, not that important, really, are you, Rob?
Wanker, I'm the most important here.
So anyway, basically we're going to have a chat. We'll show you some slides about some of the ships that are up for retro, with a few comparisons to some other hulls. We'll talk about those, and then after that we'll be talking about some macros and stuff like that, so help you out if you've got some JugX fleets and stuff like that, so you can leave a lead ship outside and stuff like that. So if Tito, if you're ready to show us some of the slides with the info on, that'd be good.
Earth to Tito.
Yes, I'm here, just preparing it. Everybody can see them now?
Yeah, we can see that, mate.
Okay. Well, this week, as many of you could see, came the Retrofit Pack Live 14, and it integrates 5 more ships to get to R10. As you can see, this will be the first one of them, the Stingray. Then we will have the Barracuda as well, one of the most hated subs for many people. It doesn't matter of the level. Also comes the Thresher in an attempt to come back into the game. I think is the one that is not going to do it. This is the MCX. I think is one of the most expected ones, especially because a lot of people build a lot of them just for prepping or hitting bases. Finally, the Strike Cruiser. If you want, I will start with the first, and then after showing the stats, we can talk about them. Well, the Stingray, as you can see, got more stats that include a boost in missile defense, a boost in the ballistic range that will help, especially when they are fighting with those rocket fleets that get the range very close and was a bit difficult. The second one is something I predicted when I saw the bypass chain gun, because with that new gun getting more weight, unless they were giving some more weight to the hull, it was going to be impossible to make the transition from the river to the bypass without losing a bit of DPS, having to change to the level 1 instead of keeping with level 2. A radioactive defense, that is going to be good, especially for those that don't have indicators and want to use this type of fleet to do the rivers in the raids. Debate that goes from 30 to 40 and is going to be something good as well, because it doesn't only have 2 armor slots, so increase the level of debate of this hull is a bit more complicated than maybe with others. And finally, the speed from 60 to 70, which will make it get close to 30 without having to invest much gear on boosting that speed. Map speed from 35 to 38, that maybe helps somebody that is a cop in sectors or stuff like that, but for the others, using relay towers is not one of the most important, I would say. And to compare this hull, I have used the Thois that was called at the time R6, just because got that special boost in reload and in range. And the Vindicator, that probably is the most close hull to this one, also using ballistic. And in some ways, the Stingray has become a better use of the Vindicator for some scenarios, as we will see. Well, let's see if it's worth, because to get from R5 to R10, you are going to have to invest 200,000 uranium. And that, for somebody that has easy to get these hulls, and this uranium is not a problem. But if you are mid-level and you still have trouble to get uranium from those dredges and just doing Forsaken missions, and maybe if you are able now to do the campaign, you still have 6 weeks at least to get this. So let's see the table in which we will compare the stats of the 3. As you can see on the left side, I have put, as like always, the normal stats that are common to most of the hulls, and on the right side, the stats that give the difference between one and another, especially in the rolls they can do. As you can see, the armor is very similar between the Thoi and the Stingray. Just the Vindicator has a bit more, and as you can see in the armor slots, because it has one more, it will give a final armor points higher on the Vindicator than on the other two. But as also you can see is that the Stingray with this new boost and the max weight will be able to hold more gear than any of the others, or at least better levels, higher ranks of the likely bypass 2, or maybe in some cases something close to bypass 3, but not many. The weapon slots for the 3 of them is the same. Armor slots, as I said, for the Stingray class is just 2, while the Vindicator holds 3. And this is where the Stingray for me is better, because having 4 specials give you more chances to build it for different scenarios than just 3. Because remember, one of them is probably going to be speed, the second one is going to be resistance or evade, and on the third one is when you are going to decide if you boost the range of those ballistics, if you build it for ballistic or not. As you can see, many people has made the transition from ballistic to launchers that give them better results many of the times. The cargo, well, the cargo is something I put, but I don't rely much on this value anymore, because with that many open cells in the map, who cares about cargo? Evade is one of the importance for me. As you can see, it's the highest one you can get, which will help a lot, especially when you are dealing with those torrents in the raids and other stuff that is not rockets, that has a splash damage, and it's one of the highest values they have seen in game so far. Map speed, as I said, that only cares if you are a cop and you need to go to bases, or if you are in one of those alliances that love guarding other bases, because it will help you to get closer and faster to them. Combat speed, as you can see, is 17. If you boost this with speed systems or any of those engine upgrades or on a stable course, you will get values that are over 25. And just siege cannons or any armor with the speed will get you very close to the 30, which is going to be quite good, especially if you want to build it as a sort of sub-hunter. The turning speed is something that has been boosted to 24 now, so it's not the 30 of the Vindicator, but you never got much trouble with this with the turning. Now, as you can see, for the resistance, these holes are supposed not to have much resistance, are light holes, and they have resistance to probably the two big issues they could have. That is the range weapons that, as we all know, they don't go straight to your ship. They go straight to your ship, while explosive is something that you can just evade, but with the speed, and ballistic, as long as you don't get close, you don't get damage. So 30% missile and 30% radiation damage resistance is going to be quite useful, especially in these types of raids, or if you are doing the Forsaken missions or stuff like that, if you want to build this with launchers. But now let's see the boost that Kicksai gave it to, because this hull was supposedly to be ballistic, although not many people use it that way. As you can see, now the Stingray has win that ballistic range of 20, the same likely the Thoi, and the indicator is a bit lower, but as I said, only if you use it with chain guns and stuff like that, you're going to make use of it. But if you don't use it on that purpose and you use with launchers, it's not worth it. It doesn't matter for you this. The ballistic reload is something that the Stingray still has lower, which means has lower DPS than the other two hulls, just for that. But I tell again, I prefer to use these hulls with launchers rather than with chain guns. Ballistic accuracy. Well, this is something that makes this hull more specific for ballistic, and it's not going to help you, especially with launchers. And as you can see, finally, the slow resistance. Well, the slow resistance is something that now is becoming more important, especially since those Creo turrets and those Creo weapons, and especially the Wendigo, is slowing our fleets when hitting bases. Because yes, you can hit bases with it if you prep the wars first. And as you can see, this one with another one that we will see in the retrofit pack, and also those Hell Strikes and the Hellhound are the ones that have this value over here that I guess that now from now on is going to be more worthy than it used to be. And finally, accuracy. The Vindicator has 20% accuracy in a general purpose, which means that it helps also missiles and launchers, not just ballistic. And now let's see what the panel has to say about this.
Okay, thank you, Tito. If we go just down through the bottom, Winston, what have you got to say on it, mate?
Well, I find the Retropack for this hull actually pretty interesting. I used to like using it for sub killers and stuff. It'd be really nice to see that being brought back again. Evade for the Stingray's R10, that's kind of interesting. My only problem with the Retropack is I've been really focusing on my base killers to try and retrofit those, but I've been eyeing this up here and tempted to look into R10 some of my hulls. Overall,
sorry, carry on, mate.
The evade I find pretty attractive too, and the missile damage. I already have mine with RA3, so whenever I see missile fleets going around killing stuff, that's usually what I used to bring out with my my Stingrays. So they've been sit parked for quite some time. It'd be really nice to bring them out again.
Cool, cool. Pain Train, what have you got to say, mate?
I fucking love them, the Stingrays. They've always been a good haul, and with R10 it just gets them a little bit better. I don't know, not the best of hauls still, are they? You know, you wouldn't choose them over loads of others. But if you've got them, like most people do, and considering that we're in Reaver raids at the moment where a lot of the Stingrays we used before, you fit those new chain guns on, and you're onto a bit of a winner there with R10. I've actually seen a build created with the new flamethrowers. They look pretty sweet as well. With the extra weight, really helps out. You don't need to worry about hardened barrels or autoloaders, so you got more specials for speed and evade, so that really helps against the Reavers as well.
Yeah, I agree totally. Kyle, what have you got to say, mate?
I was basically going to say similar to what he was saying, but I used to use mine in raids a lot before I got a lot of the higher end ships, and they were a great ship, so it's nice to see them come back. I do like the higher evade. That's definitely going to help the lower level players using them in raids and stuff.
Cool, cool. Stephen, you're a slightly lower level player than us. What do you think, mate?
I never actually built them. I've got the blueprint for Stingrays, got Zoes. I never got around to actually building them. But it is nice to see that they're taking some of the old core hulls. MCX, I'm thrilled about. We'll get to that in a few minutes. But, you know, they're actually bringing some life back to these things that people may have. Like you said, they're sitting around, they're gathering dust. So I'm going to say good job, Kickstarter. They actually gave things what we want for once. There's more evade, there's more punch, more resistance. They keep making the game harder, so they're actually giving us a bit more of a chance here. I think 200K is not too bad on prices in the long term. You were talking about it. You still got your weeklies. You're going to have a let it burn after every raid. That's 60. So, you know, you're getting 85K the week after each raid. It's doable. I've also found that, you know, with these longer refits, I actually have time to keep uranium in my vault, so to say. I used to scrape by the barrel whenever you're trying to do those 30K ones every day. But these long hull ones are actually helping out a bit. So that's interesting.
Cool, cool. And Mike, what have you got any thoughts on it, mate?
I'm like Steven. I've never built the Stingrays. I've seen them used effectively as sub-hunters with depth charges on them and as much speed as you can put on them. I think with the new bypass chain gun, could help out, but from what I've been told by people that run them, the best thing to do is put as little armor on them as possible because they're going to die, and you can get them back out faster if you don't armor them up. Put it all in weapons and specials. That's about all I have to say.
Very good. So if we move next on to the Barracuda retrofit then, we'll have a bit of chat about that.
Sure, mate. Well, the Barracuda is probably one of the lowest hulls, especially for the mid and low levels. It's one of the most easy and cheapest one prices you can get in the race normally. I think the last time it was 400,000 points. And as you can see, in this new retrofit pack, some of the burdens that for the ship has been fixed, like the turn speed. It has moved to 25, and with this, these hulls are going to turn pretty much better than they used to. They are going to be the same as turning speed that any of those specters out there that used to be able to turn on 1 point. Missile defense, that is one of the ways to kill these subs with the range, is something that has been boosted. It's not because the armor of this hull is not very big. It's not that you are going to survive 6 missiles, but if it's somebody typing to try to kill you with strikes, or well, unless that we are talking about that famous level 50 Kodiak, some maybe assaults, they have more chances to survive now. The concussive damage is something that is quite interesting, since just this hull and the Spectre have this boost, and if we're taking care that we only have 6 torpedoes on this one, like in the Spectre, this 20% is likely having an extra torpedo on the hull, reaching the 7 that has the big tech subs, like the Nighthawk or the Reaper. Concussive defense is something that also is going to be interesting. Just a few hulls have this stat on it, and it's going to save them a lot of damage from other torpedoes on those deep charges. That probably will give the driver of this hull, because this is a hull for good drivers. Bad drivers get terrible issues trying to drive this against even hulls that were not supposed to kill them. And well, this will give them a chance to have some more mistakes. And probably on the R10 we get the best of this. The max weight that goes from to 2,000 more tons, which give them some of the best help, I think, because as we know, if you wanted to get the level 3 specials on this hull, you couldn't use 6 assault bees. That probably is one of the best builds you can do with them, because you want that extra range. And now you can build it with the 6 and have the 3 specials and even the armor, the D2S, probably a stealth armor or evade armor is going to be the best one to build with it. Also has an increase on evade, and when I took this blueprint, it was not yet added, but now it has been added. Many people knew about it, that this sub used to have 24 seconds of clock time. That is the time that is diving. Well, now it has been changed from 24 to 36, which with battery 3 get them to close to 50 seconds or 52 seconds, which give them a lot of better use for them, even as decoys, because before with 36 seconds or 37 was not much good, and by the time you were hitting the first turret, especially if you are using as decoy, you were going to pull back. Now you have that extra time that is going to help you a lot more. As you can imagine, I compare this hull with the Spectre, with the Reaper, finally with the Nighthawk, the last hull that got into the game that as a subclass, and that has given a lot of trouble, especially if the owner also owns the Phantom Nighthawk, that let them give those surprises to people. Well, let's see if this uranium cost is worth or not. I think it is, especially it's the cheapest one you will see, and I think it's worth 100,000 for all you get from it. Well, as you can see on the left side, as normally I have the stats that are more general in all the hulls, and on the right side we will see the difference between them. First of all, as we said, the Cuda is not a hull with a lot of armor, but also helps when you are repairing it, because it's the one, as you can see on the right side, with the higher penalty at the time of repair. The max weight, as I said, is not the same as the Spectre, but it's at least enough for it, so you can have in this hull those 6 assault bees, or even, I don't know if you have visited the page, but I posted there a build with using the Deluge missiles, and you could build 3 it with 4 of the level 3, 1 level 2 and 1 level 1. It's not that you're going to be able to use it on all the bases or in the Forsaken missions and stuff like that, because you still will have 7.5, and you will need something below 2 if you want to hit with it and launch those missiles without getting a spot, because the penalty of the Deluge missile when it shots. As I said, it only has 6 weapons. It's not the 7 of the Nighthawk, but likely the Spectre is the only one that has that boost on damage, on concussive damage, which helps them to be likely if they got 7. Armor slots is what it has less. As I said, the armor is not the best of this hull. It only has 1, and also it's a burden when you want to make it stealth because you can only boost it once with D2S. But as you see, at least has the 3 specials, likely most of them. So you can build it, making quite nasty builds out of it using a stealth system or Magnus drive if you want, with engine upgrades, or stealth system with those caterpillars, and then using on a stable core, or probably better with engine upgrade, because if not, you're going to just waste 700 tons out of those 2,000 just on one special. Cargo, well, cargo has never been one of the main things of these hulls. Just the Reaper has some more cargo hold than the others, but normally if you are using this to open salves and stuff like that, you always needed a basket just behind them so you could gather what we have been opening. Evade, as you can see, is the highest value so far. Somebody will say me that, well, other hulls have not yet get there to the level 10, since we only have the Barracuda and the Reaper here that are R10. But, well, 30% evade is something that helps a lot with the missiles, even with the launchers, that are the ways that people try to kill them at times. If you get hit by UAVs, you're screwed, doesn't matter evade at all. Map speed, well, this is another of the holes I normally call for the cops, because it helps a lot on those cases. Combat speed, sorry, it's 16 here, but actually has to say 17 if I am right. And it's another of those holes that get you the chance to get close to those 30 and even surpass it, especially because all the weapons you use normally boost the speed as well. So it's a hole. It's quite interesting, because if the guy that you're fighting doesn't have a sub killer with thermal imaging, you can give them a lot of crap with damage and alike. And especially even those B2H, if they don't have been built with speed, you just can't kite them. Turn speed, that was the burden, is what has been fixed in this retrofit pack with this 25. And as we said before, missile and concussive damage have been the 2 boosts he has got, which for me are quite interesting, especially because normally torpedoes is what they deal more when they are fighting other subs, or even those sub killers that are built with subs, killers with torpedoes as well, because as we know, some of the sub killers have hybrid bayes, so they can use both torpedoes or surface weapons. Now, if we go to the right side, we will see that, as I said, the penalty or the repair modifier is 400, which is the higher of them. We know that all the subs normally are suffering this penalty, and just the Reaper is 200, because I think that since it was bringing to the game as a prepper for bases mostly of the times, kicks high, and it doesn't dive like the other ones. It doesn't have a complete dive, that we will explain later what it is. It's the one suffering more, but since you cannot build much armor on it, I think at the end it's not something that is important. As all we know, many people use them zombie, so they doesn't care much about 400%. As we said, the 19% damage, that is the only one with the Spectre that shares this stat. It gives them the chance to, even with one less armor, one less weapon slot, have the same chances to make the same amounts of damage like the others. Accuracy is something that it lacks. Just the Spectre and the Reaper has this bonus that helps them when they are fighting other hulls or other ships or fleets that are high evade, that we know that nowadays is most of the cases, yes, because in the last raid it was quite important to use it, not the raid that we just did, just the last ones we were doing. And now the clock times, that's something that has been now added to the blueprints. If you check in your Intel lab or even in your research lab, I just checked it, and you are the Predator and the Stalker has now the diving times for them all. It's called clock time. And as you can see, it's the lower one, but 36 seconds if you are using the stealth system or the battery system get you close to 50, which is quite good. Submerged defense, what is that? Well, as you may know, if you are not using weapons that are designed to hit underwater, and with that we mean torpedoes and deep charges, or you have weapons, surface weapons with any of those specials that let them hit underwater, and with that we mean laser targeting, or the retargeted skill on those ships, or we are talking about hydro shells or incendiary shells for mortars, or hydro shells if we are talking about rockets. I remind everybody that rockets and incendiary shells don't work well together. It will give you a splash, but you will not create patches of fire. And this is they are immune to other weapons falling on top of them when they are on the waters. You will see in the game, for example, at times people tell me, my Reapers are hitting, or my chain guns are hitting subs underwater. Yes, you see them shooting, but you don't see them making any damage. Okay, the only one that, because Geekside didn't tell us that he's not making a complete dive, is the Reaper. He's the only one that gets damaged. If something falls on top of it, it doesn't matter if it was prepared to hit underwater or not. So it's the only one you have to take care. With these ones, you don't need to care about. Building damage, well, just the Reaper, because it was built for prepping bases and can use, can use with the Kudas also. Those deluge missiles or those downpour missiles or any other missiles. I don't remember how long ago many people were using this Cuda built with 6 cannons and just diving those bad bases with short channels to just dive in front of the outpost and just smash into the outpost in a single shot. That was something funny to see, but well, nowadays we don't see that anymore because people try to get more sub-defense. And well, as I said, well, submerged, this is not the case, because all them get the submerged defense, as we called. Just the Reaper doesn't get it, and just the Nighthawk get those specials, boosting 50% more speed and getting those ballistic explosive missiles and radioactive 20% more, which changed the stats they got from 20 to 36 and 20 to the radioactivity. But now let's see what the panel says about this one.
Thank you very much, Theo. So guys, I'll start with Mike this time. What do you think about the CUDA and the actual retrofit bonuses that we've got this time?
Well, the CUDA is still my favorite hull in the game. I got it early on, and I've done a lot with it. And looking at this Retropack, at first I was disappointed in it, but I had some discussions and did some thought. Any low to mid-level player that can get this hull now can build it to act like a Spectre, a Reaper, or just a regular Barracuda. You got the dive time. You can fit deluge missiles on them now. The speed has been upped on them. This is going to be a potent hull again, I think. You can use them as a decoy. The dive time with the battery on it will give you enough time to save damage on a lot of different things. In the last raid, I was still using my Barracudas on 45s for no damage. I got a couple million points while I was waiting for fleets to repair with the Barracuda fleet. Done.
Thanks for that. That's really good info. Stephen, what do you think about the CUDA, mate?
I mean, it's definitely interesting. You turn the turn speed up. I was looking at it, and it's a 55 with Speed System 3 and R10, which is the highest turn speed out of any of them by far. It made it interesting again. The biggest problem then was always max weight. I think I actually had Havoc 4s on my Cudas because of the way max weight came out back then. So they're breathing life back into the things that people already have. I know a lot of people, especially even somebody in my alliance, took a break for a couple months and they felt like they can't get started again. Well, they're trying to give you a little help for things you might have built 7-8 months ago, which I like. It looks good again.
Cool. What do you think, Rob?
And the Barracudas are shit, mate, if I'm being honest. I've never liked them. I don't really... I mean, they're going to be useful for little suicide prep fleets, I think, with deluge missiles. Apart from that, just the usual sniping mortar fleets is all people do with them, I think. There's a reason that the CUDA looks like a dick and balls. That's because it only seems like dicks who use them. Just my honest opinion. I think Nighthawks are better in Fleet v Fleet and every kind of, torpedo battle kind of thing. And Reapers are always going to be the better option for for deluge missiles. I think it's just kind of like, if you haven't got any of the above, then you might as well use them.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, by no means I think it was anyone trying to insinuate that it's the top new submarine. Anybody who's doing that's kind of damn crazy or never had a fleet of Phantoms to fight with, or doesn't know how to use their Phantoms. You're 100% right on that, Rob.
A lot of people don't have Phantoms, Inspectors, and Reapers, though.
This is true. This is true. Billy, you've just joined the panel, mate. Welcome. Have you got anything you want to say about the R10 Barracuda Retro?
Well, to be honest, well, I used to hate the Barracudas. Then when they got to R5, I thought, yeah, I might build a fleet. And then by the time I decided to turn around and go and build a fleet, I was like, what's the point? Like, I mean, they're good fleet v fleets, but depends what fleets you're going up against. I mean, I'm the type of person to run, well, a Frostburn or a Viper in every fleet that launches from my base, so they might be good for the lower level players, I guess, but other than that, not really.
Okay, mate, cool. Kyle, have you got anything you want to add, mate?
Yeah, I think they are more for the lower level players now. I do like the evade on it. That's going to help them against torp towers and raids, and help them against fleet to fleet. I'm really not sure what else to say. I have Nighthawks, I have Spectres, I have Reapers. So, but yeah, I think it will benefit the lower level players for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure. I totally agree. I mean, obviously I've got all of the subs that have ever been out, so obviously the first steps with my Nighthawks, but I do still like playing every now and then with some Kudas. When I get bored, I'll drop a few Kudas out and go annoy some people. So it's a good bit of fun. Winston, mate, have you got anything you want to add?
Well, the Kudas, I haven't used them a whole lot. I usually end up battling them. This retrofit 10 is actually making me take a closer look at my Vipers and stuff, because I built a fleet that would sink them in Nighthawks and stuff, and then now when you see this Retropack come in, it's not making me really look at building the Kudas right now. It's making me think about my Vipers and stuff on, how am I going to deal with this out on the map, because before I don't know how many keyboards I smashed with zombies, Kudas going around killing all my fleets. Finally, when I built the Vipers, something that would deal with that, now I have to take a close look at this Retropack. So that's kind of the boat that I'm swimming in right now.
All right, cool.
I also think the speed is, and the turn speed in that, they're going to be able to come in, shoot a few, dodge away. I think it's going to help the hull a lot.
Oh, for sure. So basically, I reckon it's a thumbs up really for the R10 Cuda. I think, especially for the low levels that haven't got any of the other subs that are available in the game, it's going to help them out a lot, and it's definitely a retro that's worth it if you're into sub hunting and basically annoying people with Kudas. It's definitely going to help you out, and it's one that you should do. If we move on then to the next hull, I'm not sure what hull's next on Tito's list.
Missile Cruiser. It's MTX action here. Oh, no.
No, sir. The next one that comes is the Thresher. I think it's the worst one of the retrofit pack, as we will see. The Thresher got some new stats, likely the turning speed that normally is one of the burdens of those the Blitz fleets, for from 14 to 20, and the ballistic up to 30%. The splash, it goes to 60, and I think that gives them better boost if you are using mortars with them, with that splash value, that if you use the rockets, because as we know, with those new cargos on bases, the blitzers they don't have a good time hitting bases. The bait goes from 0 to 25, will help them to get better values of the bait, but we will see that they don't have that much armored slots to build it so high. And if they build high evade, we know that what will happen. The moment they find one of those Atlas or Harlocks in the base with a rank between 15 and 20, if they have power cells, they are going just to melt down. The rocket reload goes from 60 to 120, which is good for rockets, but as I said, the range of the rockets is not that good. So the first gargoyle they have in the base, unless they have been prepping them earlier, they are not going to have a good luck in that base. And we all know what happens when you try to prep bases. There are those all alliances all there that will try to guard the base and just ruin your prep, or just give time to the owner of the base to hit repair. The combat speed goes from 12 to 14, so this means that you could build this with heavy plating and still get speeds from 17 to 18, which will let you keep those creepers, turrets on the base away from you. And the reactive defense has grown from 0 to 30. It's not a bad value, but the problem comes if you want to use this as a blizzard again, because those gargoyles don't give you a chance unless you can prep first. And if you have the good prepper fleet to prep that base, you have better holes than this to go blizz in this base. As you can imagine, I compared it to the Hell Strike and also to the Hellhound that just came last raid. Let's see what the table says, and if it's worth to spend 150,000 uranium on this one. Well, the first that we can see is that it has the lowest base armor points, which means that the final armor points we will get with this hull is not going to be that huge, likely we are using nowadays, especially because the new turrets we put on the bases, if something got increases the damage they do. The max weight is something important, so we will not get limits to what we want to build them with. The only limit will be the 31,750 from the fleet. And as we can see, the first burden we have is the weapons. We only have chance to get 6 weapons on it, not the 7 from the Hell Strike or the 9 from the Hellhound. The armor slots, as I said, is lower. So if we start that, mostly of the higher levels of armors we use have something around 2,000 and 2,250. And we check and we see that it has 1,500 less armor points, more or less, than the Hell Strike. We end with a value that is 4,000 less for each of the ships. So it's another thing that is going to be interesting. The cargo, well, the cargo is something, as I said, is not important unless you are going to use this hull as, like me, as a basket for the ones I still have in my dock that I have not scrapped. And let's go to the bait. The bait is 25, but you don't have the 6 armor slots, so if you are building this just for the bait, you are not going to get the same stats like in the Hell Strike or in the Hellhound, though it's going to be an interesting one. But we also know that just with a hull that is all a bait, those hardlocks that we mostly of the high-end level bases has, they are going to give this hull a very hard time. And just with 5, you are not going to be able to build it with CP4 or Pennant 3 armors and also put the bait and get values that are interesting in both ways. Map speed, well, it's not important, as I said. You can use the relay towers if you think that there are no phantoms around. Combat speed is 14, which, as I said, helps a lot, especially if you want to put heavy plating on it, to have higher ending stats on resistance and still have enough speed to weld those bases without having to ask permission to get in. The turning speed gets to 20, as I said. It helps if you are going, but well, you can also just use that speed system and you don't have much trouble. But I guess that you can, even at high levels or high rank of the ship, avoid the speed system and just go with something more specific, like the engine upgrade or even done a stable core, and still get inside of the base with a better speed. Ballistic is one of the values that has increased 30%. Most of us still have javelins on the base, so it would help against that. The missile damage is something that was a burden by the time that this whole came into the game. It was one of the weakness of all those Blitz fleets, the missile resistance they could get. Explosive, yes, it's probably one of the most interesting ones with this 50%. because it helps a lot, especially if they are hitting bases that don't have gargoyles but have even level 5 serfs, because the final and ending is going to be close to 80. And radioactive resistance, well, 30% is not much, but you can still boost this if you are using specials like the reflecting coating, getting values that are quite more interesting. Now, if we go to the right side and we get the specifics of this, we will see that, well, if you put throwers on this hole because you got them in the last raid, you are not going to get any boost on damage, because that's something that so far is just specific of the Hellhound. And you don't have projectile speed. Yes, you could put that special that is called combustion system that gives you projectile speed, but you only have 3 specials, so you have to think wisely what specials you are going to use. The rocket reload bonus is not bad. It's 120. It's very close to the Hell Strike, which means that you can get rid of that cluster's warheads that came in the Forsaken mission again, because we know that at high levels it's not worth to have that, because you will get soon to the 0.2, that is the cap in a speed that you can get to reload. So you can forget using cluster warheads with this hull. Rocket range, well, rocket range is 10%. I made numbers for the 20 and I know that is 70, but with 10% I think it's something between 60 and 66, and that is so close to the 64 of the gargoyle that, as I said, even the best driver is going to have a huge hard time to try to stop this before the gargoyle starts to shot. And we know that the concussive damage is going to be one of the greatest troubles you can get hitting a base. A splash is what I said, is what helps those mortars, and it's quite an interesting bonus, 60%, especially because if you remember, most of the mortars got something that was close to those 25 or 35, and now with 60% using mortars you could do a good job using this hull. A spread is something that just helps to make the rockets or mortars they get more close to a single target, increasing the damage on that point, which help a lot if you use it that way. The slow resistance, well, maybe it's one of the most interesting stats of this hull. It's 35. It's not the 70 from the Hellhound. It's not, but it's a stat that if you wanted to try and invest into those shielded electronics, for example, or the agility system, will give you a small bonus that would help you against the Creo turrets or the Wendigo. But if you try to and dare to fight the base with a Wendigo, you are probably going to have low chances to win. It doesn't have any sort of resistance to stun. That probably is going to be one of the burdens, especially from those hardlocks. Turret defense doesn't have anything. You could use, if you want, that siege battery and see if it gives you better results than using a main resistance, but you will be in trouble again. And you don't have any building damage. And we know that one of the problems that took this hull out of the game was the wall 5, and then we know that now we are using wall 6. So without having any building damage built in the hull, you're probably going to have a lot of trouble building this hull with rockets and trying to go melting walls again, unless you're hitting low bases that don't have yet wall 5 or wall 6. Doesn't have any resistance to tactical fields either, and doesn't have any armor abilities like with the Hell Strike at a level 10. So the stats you get are the normal stats you could get in any hull, and doesn't have any berserkers also. So if you ask me, would you build this or would you spend the uranium? I would say I wouldn't, especially because most of you probably will have the Hell Strike or try to get the Hellhound. And getting this hull, it's something that is going to help you probably if you're hitting level 30, 40, 50 bases, but beyond that, they probably have at least the walls, and you're not going to do any succeed in those bases. And now let's see what these people say.
Thank you very much, Cito. So basically, Thresher is like a mini Hellstrike, really.
Good shit.
Back in the day, it used to be the king. You used to have some really good builds. Do you reckon that this retro has brought them back into the game at all?
Not at all.
No.
No.
It's alright if
No,
you
I
got
don't
them
even know
and
if
you're a
play
lower
the
player, otherwise don't bother building them.
Yeah, I mean, if you've got them built, obviously, you know, it's going to help you a bit if you can still use them. Obviously, you're going to have to be very careful with which bases you hit and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's definitely for the lower levels. I mean, unless you're hitting bases that are level 4 walls and lower, it's not going to help you. And a lot of the low levelers and mid-level players now can, get the Hellstrike with some help, or the newest ship in the last raid, the Hellhound. This ship actually really pissed me off. I coined the Thresher. It worked great for a while. Then they came out with level 5, level 6 walls. It wouldn't go through the walls at all. It just became obsolete, and it was a waste of money and a waste of time.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. I think that's it's a very good way of describing it, really. I mean, it was the king when we used to have level 4 walls, but obviously for everything really now, it's not really that good. I mean, the only thing that really it's good for, it's like in the campaigns you've got one that's got like the Typhoon in it, like a couple of those in there just to kill off with the drones and stuff would be pretty good. But other than that, really, I don't really see a lot of real hope for it in the game, really, to be honest. What do you reckon, Billy, mate? Billy, you there?
Yeah, sorry. To be honest, I've never really built a baser out of fucking what's it called? Threshers. I mean, I got them when they first came out. Coined 4 of them with no armor and just used when they were out. It was the raids with the fleets and shit. What is it? From 1, you got to do 1 to 10, then what is it? 11 to 20, and so on and so forth. I only used them for that. 4 coins repair in a raid, and it done my raids. But other than that, I mean, to be honest, Threshers are outdated now, even with the R10. To be honest, that's my faults.
What do you reckon, Rick? Have you got anything you want to add at all?
Well, the retrofit pack 14 for the Threshers didn't really impress me at all. When I seen it, I was sweating a little bit because there's a lot of times there I've been hammered outside my base and had problems maintaining res. So I reluctantly ended up scrapping a few fleets, and the Threshers were one of them. So when I seen that rocket come out in the raid there, I was a little nervous. And then when I seen the Retropack on the 14, I just about died. And then when I hit it and read it a little bit, I was, calming down a little bit. But no, I don't really see the Threshers coming back as like the Stingrays were.
Okay, mate, cool. Dirt Devil has just joined us. What have you got to say on the Thresher retro, mate? David, you there? Oh, he's not there. Alright, no worries. Kyle, have you got anything you want to add, mate?
No. Don't build it. Scrap it if you got it.
Yeah, it's pretty much what I think, really. Stephen, what about you, mate? I know you haven't got most of the up-to-date tech built. Have you ever built any Threshers and you ever used them?
It's one of the only holes I have. I never got around to rockets. Nope, I don't really have any real good input on them, unfortunately. But make any improvement to these holes, which is overpowered as kick size holes are, I'll take it. So anything's better than nothing.
Okay, cool. What about you, Mike? Have you got anything you want to add at all?
I've never built them, and I don't know anybody that runs them. I got no constructive input.
Fair enough. Tito, if we move on to the next one, mate, if we just hit sort of like the main points about it, and then we'll have a chat and just clear up any other niggling issues that we've got. Is that alright, mate? Are you there, mate?
Tio, wake up! What the fuck are you doing, man?
Drop it.
I'm being hit. Let's just watch this, man.
You're too young to know what I'm doing.
I'm being hit with a new ship for the first time. This will be fun.
Okay, here I am. We will try to do it faster.
We're taking the slight diversion. So if you're enjoying the show, then
let's watch the hit.
I was getting my fun time picking one panda. I'll always like doing
I'm
that.
probably gonna get burnt the fuck down. But fuck it, we'll see. He's got legend rank on the new ship, so we'll see.
Okay, let's see. Next one is the missile cruiser. I guess it's the most wanted of all the ones we got here, especially because
Don't shoot the demo crew.
You're getting smoked, mate. Getting absolutely smoked.
I don't give a shit.
All I see is lag.
Alright, so let's go through the missile cruiser X then.
Okay,
Let's have it.
it was funny to see Rob getting a smasher, but let's go to the missile cruiser. The missile cruiser, I guess, is the one that most of you were looking for because it's getting a nice boost, especially on the last levels. As we can see, it gets a new cargo boost that, as I said, is not very important. But on the second one, on the R7, you will get a big boost on explosive defense and also in missile defense from 40 to 60. I think this one is going to be very good, especially for people that still use them on Forsaken missions or drag bases and alike. That's going to make them quite resilient to the attacks on those two environments. If we look at the bait, it's going from 10 to 30. If we remember, when the launchers came into the game, one of the best users we got is put them on this fleet, because this fleet got higher level of a bait than C. So now it's going to get into that place again. So for the people that is using this still with launchers, it's going to be a good boost again. And it's getting the boost that they missed on the first time that they got into the retrofit pack. That was the radioactive defense. That's 0 to 30. Now with that and specials that you can add to this or armor, you can make a good resistance hull against the radioactive. And finally, probably the best of the boost is this penetrating reload that is going to make so far the hull with higher reload rating in the game, which is probably quite good, especially if you are going to use this as a prep for prepping bases. As you can imagine, I took the Interceptor, the Kodiak, and the Mastodon to compare, and let's see what the stat says about it. Because as this is one to study well, it's 300,000 uranium what we are going to invest, and whoever got the holes on the right side here probably has no problem to get this amount, but whoever doesn't have these holes and just got the MCS probably will have a bit of a trouble to reach those 300,000. Okay, first of all, we will see that the armor is not the highest one in of them. Just the Mastodon has a bit less, but the Mastodon was built that way to be a bit more weak than the others probably, and need those decoys that we are all using to hit bases with, just because that remote targeting made them be able to hit from so far, so just a few turrets in the base are able to return the fire. The max weight, as we can see, is higher than the Interceptor, so even this hull will never get that special from the Interceptor that made the counters on top of it decay so fast. It's going to be a good choice, especially for prepping bases. If you use something like the Juggernaut to lure the attention of the rest of the torpedoes over there, so you can make a good job prepping that base. Weapon slot, well, the weapon slots are 6. When this hull came into the game, 6 was the normal number of slots for weapons. Just the Dreadnought got 8, and that famous toilet that got 7 were the differences. But hulls with 10 will come much later. Likely then was the Triton and so on. The armor slots is 4. It's not bad for this type of hull. It's probably not going to be a hull to hit high-end in bases nowadays with all that tech we have inside, but probably it's going to be a good hull for hit mid and high bases. Well, if you go just prepping with it, or mid bases, you can even end doing the whole base just with using the specials. The specials is the only problem I see. You only have 3, so you will have to think twice what you do. And I guess that now more than ever, you will have to use remove the use of the speed system with solid fuel booster and has to move to something likely those reflecting coatings or to increase the bait and those MC3 or heavy platings even to using this fleet just to sustain there more damage, so you'll be able to hit a longer time prepping those fulls. I still think that the B2H with the Rouge would make a better work, but it's still a whole to taking care. The bait. For me, the bait is one of the best things it has. With that 30%, you will increase the bait quite high, and will give you a better lasting, especially because many bases remove all the splash damage, especially from the island, and replace it with accuracy damage from javelins, harpoons, or the executioners that came into the game. Even those launchers. If it's not the Wendigo hitting it, it's going to be more easy for this hull to get rid of that damage. Map speed, as I told you, is something that I don't get much interest. And combat speed 12. Well, we never saw an issue with the speed of this hull. They did a good job and conquered many bases in the past, so we will keep doing it. The turn speed is 15. It's going to be a burden, especially if you are having to use the strike system, so you will want to rank up this hull first a bit before you start to get good use of it. As I said, the resistance is probably one of the best things it has, because as you can see, 35% ballistic and 60 missile explosive here, 30 again, and the radiation damage of 30 is not going to make it a huge tank, but a sort of a tank it will be. So it will last there enough to make a good job prepping bases.
Sorry
now
to
you can go.
Can we just move through most of the rest of it? Obviously, we can see what's on there. We'll chat about most of the most relevant points of it.
Yeah, and
panel.
The penetrating reload, as you can see, is the highest point, so it's going to be the best of it. Flag, as you can see, is the same for all of them. If you make combos using Siege F or Siege Z, the new one, or even the Killer's Bees, you will give a hard time to those flags and coaxials to stop you. It doesn't have concussive damage at all because it's not made like the Interceptor as a sub-hunter. You will need something to spot, likely a Viper, one of those Battlecruise R10 that we know now. It doesn't have the building damage, and that maybe is going to be a trouble for it, especially because we know that now the turrets that we have to deal are not the same ones they deal it with. I mean, they have more armor just because of the level 5 or just because of the armor slots that they got. It's rechargeable, which is one of the most secret things when you are using a missile fleet. It doesn't have the remote targeting because it's something that is just related to the Mastodon. And it doesn't have sonar or thermal image. So I said, if you want to use this hull to go sub hunting, you will need a Frostborn, a Viper, another B2H with you, or maybe that R10 Battlecruise. So now let's see what you say.
Okay, thanks, Theo. Stephen, have you got an opinion on this one, mate? I know you've got quite a few M6s built.
I've got 13 M6s. 3 fleets, a bunch of extras. I can't tell you how happy I am to see this one finally back in the game. When the MCX came out, it was one of those truly pinnacle hulls. Everyone built around it. There was a period where it came to be the best platform to build other things onto. So I know there's probably more MCXs floating around out there than people want to admit. I'm incredibly excited by the penetrating reload. That's going to help out dramatically. Same with the evade. Getting a hit up to 30. Mine already have a decent evade. They're like 45, 50%. So, I'm looking at mid-60s. If my math on the top of my head's right. That's pretty impressive. And then the radiation resistance of 30% bonus. That's pretty huge. I mean, we are in the age of nuclear winter, and everything's going to need radiation resistance. So it's good. It's a good step in the right direction. It's expensive. It's going to take me a couple weeks to get that done. 300K is no joke, but it'll be worth it.
I'm sure you'll be tapping me up for some dredges, mate. I'm sure.
Buddy, help me out. But yeah. Oh, I got that Jugex coming out in 2 days, so I should be okay.
All right, cool. Hiram, mate, have you got anything you want to
add? That was another hull that, the way I come into the game, I ended up passing over it, and I still don't have the blueprint for it. But I've seen some guys using the good effects, and from the retros, from what I'm seeing, a mid-level player, that's a must-have and a must-retrofit.
Yeah, I agree totally. It's a massive retrofit for mid-level players and lower-level players, especially if you haven't got stuff like the Kodiak and the Mastodon. You know, missiles at the minute in this game are king at the minute. There's nothing else that can deal so much damage as missiles at the minute, and it's definitely a way forward, really, to be honest. Have you got anything you want to add, Rigpig?
Not too much. The penetrative reload and radioactive defense, whatever, is the 2 points I was going to bring up. Really loved the haul, always did. And once it started to taper off, I used it as a prep fleet to bring in my strike cruisers. And both those hauls kind of just faded away. But I've always enjoyed having the MXCs. It's nice to see that brought in. The uranium, though, that's a challenge. Even just getting it to R5 was brutal. Like, that was like the biggest number out there.
Well, for sure, man, for sure. Buddy, do you want to add anything at all? No. All right. Okay. What about you, Dirt?
Well,
That's right. Go on, Bully. Go for it. You go for it, and then we'll have Dirty and afterwards.
yeah. See, the MCX, it was used to be obviously a high-level base thing, but these days, I mean, I'm not being funny. All I can see out of the MCX is probably mid-level bases and probably some high levels using them for prepping and shit. Because with all that, with a few extra bits to it, it might do some good, I guess.
All right. Cool. Dirt, what did you want to say, mate?
I'm still waiting for mine to get mine to R5 one day, but I really can't see the point. I would rather spend the uranium on something else to support your base and build your base defense up, myself personally, because 3 to 4 months down the line, you know they're going to be outdated and not going to last.
I also agree a little bit with that. I mean, I've got 2 fleets of MCXs which have got assault missiles and stuff. So I'm going to do this retro because it might come in handy for doing a bit of prep and stuff like that. But I think it's more geared towards the sort of like mid-level players, really, other than anything else. Do you agree with me, Rob?
But you guys both have bomb-ass Kodiak fleets, so that's going to be your good too.
I mean, really, I can't see them getting into any high-level bases. Not right, like at the top end of the scale, but I'm sure it's going to be a really good retrofit for mid-levels.
And plus, what I've noticed is
they're not going to get in high-level bases. At the best, they'll be used for prep fleets. Maybe if you build them right, you can have a really nice fleet to do some weekly missions for pretty much one fleet to do a few 65s if you build them right. I can't think of them being used for enforcer bases still because there's just not got enough armor points to tackle the Wendigo mixed with atlases and stuff. There's so many better fleets out there, so if you've got them, use them for old time's sake, you know, nostalgia and all that shit. But I wouldn't build a fleet of them just because they're all 10 if you haven't already got them.
what I've noticed as well, because I've been trying to refit a lot of fleets and I've fell behind in that many builds, I've actually done myself short, and I've realised in the last couple of weeks, bollocks refitting the old fleets, just build the new fleets. You save yourself money and you keep yourself on track. Within kick size, keep on track.
Definitely. So what we'll do now is we're just quickly going to go through some stuff to do with macros for mouse, for using on your mouse. It's really helpful for people who've got rush fleets. They leave the Highlander nuke cruiser outside. So using like a Jug-X rush fleet and stuff like that. So I know that Tito's made a little thing up about how and where to download it, how to use it quickly. So if we can go to Tito and just go through that.
give me a second while I load it, because we still got that strike cruiser. But as a summary, unless you are going to use it with launchers, don't even dare doing it, because those walls 6 and 7 was what stopped the strike cruiser, and even 50% extra damage on ballistic is not going to help you break walls. So that's the summary of the strike cruiser, to say it some way. And well, while we are moving to that one, as you can see, I compared it to the jugs. I'm going to do this fast. For anybody, while I'm loading the other one, get in mind that the letterboard is back, and just make sure that you read this before you start using your radiator cooled throws to try to get more uranium than what you should be getting. So nobody waste the radiator cooled throw trying to get 100,000 from that campaign, because that is not going to happen.
Yeah, and what we'll do is we'll post all of the charts and stuff on the Battle Pirates Crib page, so you can go through all the stats and have a comparison that we talked about and stuff as well. So that'll help you out. Obviously, you can do that in your own time. It's www.facebook.com/the Battle Pirates Crib. So we've got loads of info going on there daily, some bits and pieces, some videos, some nice walkthroughs and stuff like that. So make sure you join that, and obviously the Alliance Crib as well. Make sure you get yourself in the Alliance Crib if you like to talk about the game and give other alliances grief. It's always a good game.
Okay, let's go to the Macro Gamer. Well, Macro Gamer, for any that doesn't know, you can have in some of those keyboards that are called gamer keyboards, or one of those mouse that is called gamer keyboard, gamer mouse. That normally what it is a normal mouse or a normal keyboard that has some special keys that you can program with a set of commands that can be just different clicks on the keyboard or different clicks on the mouse. Or even if you want, some of them are prepared that just even to record the position of your cursor on the screen and do something for you, likely removing shapes, repairing, or stuff like that. But if you don't want to spend money and you want to use what you have, there are a few programs out there, likely Macro Gamer. There are other that is called Xmouse as well. We thought that this one was going to be more easy, and as you can see, this one can be downloaded from this page, so you don't need to go to any page to download something that could be holding virus or something like that. And once it is downloaded and you go into this page, you will find this page, and it's very easy. You just need to click here where it says download. It's quite clear. It will download a program and you install it like you install any other programs in your computer. And as you can see, once you have downloaded and you have installed, there is just one thing you have to take in care, and is that to launch this, at least if you want to record the macros you are doing, you have to right-click on that mouse and go to that where it says Run as Administrator, because it's the only way that you're going to save it. You can run the program without being an administrator to run the macros you have already saved, but you will not be able to create new ones or to save them unless you run it as administrator. To do it, as I said, you just need to go to your link into the desktop, right-click, and go to what it says Run Administrations in that menu that will pop up in front of you. So once you do that, you will just get into this place. This is the program itself. As you can see, I have a few here listed. The first you do, if you don't have any, is click what it says Create New. It will pop up a new window, that is this one. And before you click here where it says Start Recording, you must make sure that these three boxes are displayed like the ones you see here. It will record the delays, it will record the mouse clicks, but you don't want to record the mouse positioning into the screen, because if not, each time you do it, the shifts are going to go to the same place. So if when you were recording this, you were playing with your shifts and you were going to the north corner, each time you run the macro, you are going to go to the north corner. Probably is not where you want to go. Once that is done, you need to set here the binding key. That is going to be that key in your normal keyboard that you press to replay all those keyboards pressings and all those mouse clickings that you wanted to record. here you put a name, put something that remembers you what it was. For example, you saw that, so I put Battle Pirates 1-3. That means that it's for Battle Pirates, that 1 is the ship that is not going to move, and the 3 is the ships that go behind. That is, for example, a macro when I use the Highlander with the 3 Juggernauts. And finally, when it's all done, you just click OK here, and you're done with it. When it's done, you just will be back here, and you need to, if you click that bind the key, you just press it, nothing is going to happen unless you go here and you go, and this is of the list. It doesn't matter which one is selected because you have binded a different key for each one. If you try to bind 2 macros to the same one, the program is going to say you that you already have another key binded to that another macro, so it's not going to let you run 2 macros with the same button, and you will have to press run, because unless you press run, nothing is going to happen. If you want to leave, you just need to press that. You can stop it just by closing this program, or just, as you can imagine, there is another button out there that says stop, and pressing that, it's all done. If you're using these programs, be careful if you use them the week before the raid or in any situation that you see that the game is very laggy, because you can making a trash with your fleet, because you're expecting fleets to go one way and they are doing other things. But if the game you see that is a bit smooth that week, or you're in a server that is not that bad, by servers I mean wars, you can play this and get some nice things going. Likely, I don't know, if you have any Highlander or any Savage Kodiak that you only use for the reloads and the resistance, and you keep it out of the scenario because it doesn't have armor, you can just make a macro that says 2, 3, 4, and 5, and clicking where you want to go each time, and just moving the cursor somewhere in the screen and pressing that button you binded, all the 4 ships are going to move, and you will not have to worry about having to select back your flagship and holding it there because you don't want it to get into the battle. So that's all. Back to you guys.
Okay, thank you very much, Shito. So does anybody on the panel use any macros at all with their mouse?
I use a bit. As I talked about before, I use a gaming mouse. So I set all my macros actually in here, my up, down, left, right, 1, 2, 3, 0 preset. I don't use very many with Highlander, so I haven't gotten to a position where I need to try to keep it alive for the overall resistance, but you can do that just as well with these. But that program is, those kind of programs are good if you don't want to buy new equipment.
I use a X button controller, and I just got the one set up for right click to direct all the ships at once.
All right, cool. What about you, Rig? You use your Jug X's quite a lot. Have you got a macro set up at all?
Actually, surprisingly enough, no, I haven't. I haven't even heard much about them until you guys were talking about them. I'm still in the Stone Age using just one mouse, smashing that, buy another one, and then just using my arrows shipped up and stuff.
All right, fair enough. So are you going to think about using macros now that you've heard about it and heard how easy they are to set up?
Yeah, definitely. Actually, it's something to keep in mind. If it's an advantage, obviously, I'd be stupid not to try it. And it also might save on mouses too, considering this is like my 5th one in the last few months.
I'll post you one in the alliance.
I think Kickstar's actually got a link up for the X button controller one and how to set it up on one of the support pages.
Yes, you're right. I think I saw that somewhere in the. I think it's in that part of that is player guides and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, this is really good stuff, really. To be honest, it's going to help a lot of people out. I think we've got a video already set up on the Alliance Crib, but I'll post that on the Battle Pirates Crib. It shows you how to download it, how to do all of the whole lot of it, so you can set it up for your Jug X Rush fleets and stuff like that. So what I'll do is I'll post a link to that video on the Battle Pirates Crib, so that everybody can get in there and obviously download it and know how to set it up and stuff. Does anybody else want to add any comments at all?
Yeah, I do. I want to add a screen share. If Tito can share my screen. It's been requested with the chat, actually, so I'm not just a weirdo. I've been told to share this picture. So, enjoy. It's been a party bus somewhere, and I wasn't fucking invited. So, I've just made my own party bus at home, and here we are.
Is there anything else anybody wants to add tonight? Anything they want to have a quick chat about or anything?
Yeah, actually, I just wanted to remind everybody out there about if they're thinking about scrap and hulls, you might want to think twice. The hulls I did scrap was the Threshers. Thank God that's really not that big of a deal. Unfortunately, my favorite straight cruisers X, which I used to love when they first come out, I reluctantly scrapped those and regretting it big time. So if you have the desire to scrap a hull, think long and hard.
I'd like to make a quick comment about the Raider fleets. I've noticed a lot of people were saying about hitting the different fleets. For those that are watching that don't know, if you click on the Raider fleet, it'll tell you level 11 through 14 or 10 through 14, and you just got to figure out every one that's in there. That's all. Figure out which ones you can hit with the fleets you're using, and leave the other ones alone. A lot of people were saying they ran into the sub one, which was 13, and they kept getting killed before they could retreat.
We did actually post on the Battle Pirates Crib page. We did post a loadout of all of the fleets and which levels they were, so to help people out what they've got in them and stuff like that. And we also posted a timetable. So what I'll do is every month I'll post that timetable the day before the raiding fleets come out, so everybody knows when they're going to arrive and stuff like that. And as soon as we obviously manage to hit them, we know what's in each of the levels. What we'll do is we'll post a breakdown of that as well, so that should help everybody out. So I think that's pretty much us, really. What we'll do is we'll post all of the information that we've used during the show tonight on the Battle Pirates Crib. Might be tonight, might be tomorrow, but we'll get that done and put up there for you. Thank you everybody who's joined us on the panel, and everybody who's joined us in the chat, and anybody who watches the show back at another time. Hopefully we've helped a few people out, give you some good info, and thank you very much for joining us, and I hope you can join us again next week.
Thanks for having me again.
Anybody else want to say anything?
Yes.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Thanks for having me.
Bye.
Arr.
Thanks, guys.
Arr.
Thank you.
My arm is tired. Go
Now piss
get
off. Fuck off. Go home.